Welcome to the Style SportsHub, presented by Vann Gannaway Chevrolet.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Sports Hub podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Coppola, and today's episode, of course, is sponsored by Vann Gannaway Chevrolet. We have a lot to go over today. We're going to welcome a couple of Umatilla football players here today. We're going to, in a minute, talk to head coach of Umatilla High School, Eric Samuels, on how the season's gone so far and his thoughts about coming on board at Umatilla. Today's broadcast also brought to you by Lake Center Home Care, Lake Sumter State College, Lassiter Ware Insurance, partnering with Auto Owners Insurance. And of course, you can follow us online on lakeandsumterstyle.com, and you can head over to the Sports Hub section. We got all sorts of athlete profiles on there, as well as sports scores and a lot more on there as well. So make sure to follow us there and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and X as well. At this time, ladies and gentlemen, I have on the Sports Hub program head coach of Umatilla High School, Eric Samuels. Eric, welcome to the program.
Thanks, Kyle. Thanks for having us.
Eric, being the fact that you are a coach now here at Umatilla, you actually played here. You're a former alumni for Umatilla. So what is that like being back here in the Umatilla community, not as a student now, as a coach?
Well, it's a dream come true. Coming back, I've always wanted to, come back and lead my community and be a head coach for Umatilla. Spent the last several years in Wildwood, learning from some great leaders, but happy to be back home.
Yeah, and being in Wildwood after your whole career, which we'll break into in a couple of minutes, being in Wildwood, what were you able to learn at Wildwood? You spent quite a considerable amount of time with the Wildcats over there.
Yeah, so I've spent the last 7 years in Wildwood working with three great head coaches in McKinley Rowe, who gave me my opportunity to come over and be the defensive back coach over in Wildwood in 2016. I've also coached with J.B. Bynum, who's at Trinity Catholic now. He's the offensive coordinator there. And then last 4 years, I've been with Vince Brown, and I've learned a lot of different things from all three of those guys. They were all great leaders, and some things that I were able to take with me to Umatilla and instill in my guys.
Yeah, talk about Vincent Brown. Vincent Brown is an amazing head coach. His kids are unbelible too. Yes. That whole Brown family, that side of the family. I mean, you want to instill that here in Umatilla, I would imagine.
Yes. Coach Brown, like you said, an amazing coach, an amazing person, people pleaser. I mean, he's there for kids, but, I learned so many different things from him. One of the biggest things was being a head coach, just having to do it, not depending on anyone, being ready to, accept all responsibility now that you're the head guy. Wins and losses, all the wins will be, for the players, and you have to take every loss, whether, whatever happened, just be ready to take it all in full. Yeah. So,
absolutely. You come off of a senior season that you had. Your last year at Umatilla, you finished 0-10 at Umatilla, and you were afforded a scholarship opportunity to play in the SEC for Vanderbilt. What did that mean to you at the time to be able to go and play for a school like that? You go from Umatilla and you're going right into the SEC. I mean, that was probably pretty special for you.
It was definitely a blessing to receive that scholarship. During my interview process with Umatilla, with Coach Todd and Mr. Frazier, we talked about getting our kids prepared to play at the next level, and we talked about how Umatilla sports was, and how I was not prepared going into college. I even talked to my players. I told them my 4 years at Umatilla High School, I ended up winning 10 games in 4 years. The 10 games a season, went 10-30 out of those 4 years, and ended up not winning a game my senior season.
What does Coach? What does that feel like, not to win a game your senior year? I mean, that's obviously when you come in and being a head coach, you don't want your kids to experience that, do you? No, sir.
And I tell the guys, to never get used to that feeling of losing. I hate losing. Like we talked about, I ended up losing every game my senior year. But to to prepare the correct way, to come out and do everything that we need to do to get a win. But if we don't, let's go back to the drawing board and continue to get better, but to not get comfortable with losing.
Yeah. What was the hiring process like at Umatilla? So you have Cerny, he goes to Mount Dora High School, and that opens the door for you. Were you in contact with the coaches over here, with athletic director Patrick Todd? How did that all develop for you?
At first, I had no idea about it. I was, preparing to get ready to go into spring with Wildwood, and got a call from Coach Todd saying that they were going to be interested in me, going through the interview process. So the first thing I do is contact Vincent Brown and let him know, hey, Coach, who was my head coach at the time at Wildwood, hey, I, was contacted by Umatilla, and, they want to bring me in for an interview. Him being a great leader, was very excited for me, told me to, go in and, see what's going on. And, if it's something you want to do, pursue your dream of becoming a head coach. But going into that interview, Coach Todd can tell you I was very nervous. But, we talked about, what are my thoughts and what are some of my expectations going forward.
So let's talk about some of your expectations going forward here, Coach. What can we expect out of Umatilla? What kind of philosophies have you brought in to the Umatilla football program?
I say my 4 core values: having a positive attitude, having a great work ethic, competing in everything you do, and being willing to sacrifice. Those are the 4 things that I live by to this day. And I feel like those 4 things are going to be something that, drives us going forward.
So you think Umatilla can, obviously you're hoping to win a couple games this year. You start off 0-2, but you've played a couple of tough teams. You guys are young overall, you would say?
Yes, sir. We are very young. We've had some unfortunate injuries to some guys, we expected big things from. But, we have the next man up mentality, and we've had some young guys step up. And, it's just some learning pains, some growing pains. We have some very young guys, inexperienced, in a Friday night game. But, the guys are working hard, and you can definitely expect big things from us in the future.
Yeah, Umatilla's doing the best they possibly can, and they're coming off of a 5-5 season last year, so plenty of build on for you guys for sure. Coming in, you have a young group of guys, but that happens, especially in Umatilla. Would you say for Umatilla, is it harder for you guys to compete against these other schools as far as Umatilla goes with the athletes you have, or is it just about building the programs that you have over there?
I wouldn't say that it's harder. It's just for so long we've had a culture of being okay with losing, and coming in we have to change that mindset. We're not going to win every game, but not being comfortable with losing. We have to come out and prepare like we can beat anybody. One of the things that James Franklin told us in my years at Vanderbilt was, we're not playing the history of those programs, because my first 2 years, we would go out and we would play Florida or Georgia, and it's like we would go out and we would be spectators. We were, in awe playing against those guys. And one of the things he would always say is, we're not playing the history of that program. We're playing that current team. So let's go out and play like we prepared. And, just that confidence and competing in everything we do definitely helped us out.
Yeah, for sure. And then going forward, you end up going and playing in the Canadian Football League. Can you tell us a little bit about your experience with the CFL up there? You played for the Edmonton Eskimos, so that's a little bit of a change. You go from Florida and you go up to Edmonton. What was that like?
My experience in Canada was amazing. First, I had to get used to the rules. The rules were very different. There were 12 men on the field. The field was 65 yards long. The field goal post was in the front of the end zone instead of the back of the end zone. The end zone was 20 yards instead of 10. 3 downs to get a first down. So the rules were very different. But as far as the play, I felt it was very similar to the SEC. I felt very prepared going up there playing in the Canadian League. Speed wise, it wasn't much faster than the SEC. So I felt like I was very prepared. an unfortunate injury ended my career a little earlier than expected, but definitely enjoyed my time.
What injury did you end up having?
So we were playing Ottawa, coming down on punt. Teammate ended up falling on my neck. So I had a neck injury. Ended up getting released at the end of the season, and then never getting picked back up. So
yeah,
that ended my career.
Speaking about neck injury, we had one just this week, actually, in the community. Zane West, who played for Liberty Christian Prep School, he had a neck injury. He was transported to Arnold Palmer Medical Center in Orlando with a neck injury. Luckily, he was able to walk out of that facility. So we're definitely thinking about Zane Smith, and that's a tough thing when you have any type of a neck injury happen like that to end your career. You hate to see it, but it does unfortunately happen. In high school football. Yeah,
we've had our share of injuries this season as well, to a couple of our leaders. Nicholas Adams, one of my favorite players, definitely a leader, ended up hurting his knee this season, and he's going to be out for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
We had another injury. Logan Bowling, who you guys will speak to today, ended up tearing his meniscus. So we've had some injuries to some key players, but
that's a big storyline that Umatilla now you're without Bowling. The fact that he's out, is he out for the season? What does his return look like?
Thank God he's only out for a couple weeks.
That's good.
He will be returning, but we're going to make sure that he's 100% before we get him back on the field. He's also a two-sport athlete, so we want to make sure he's healthy to finish out his high school career.
For sure. Going forward for the Umatilla football program, because we're running out of time as far as you go, we're going to talk to some of your players up next. Where do you envision Umatilla in the next couple of years? What would you like to build?
We're definitely going to be competing for district. Coming in, talking to Coach Todd, I felt like the district is very winnable. We're young this year, but the culture that I'm building, you can expect to hear Umatilla back how it used to be in the early 2000s. So
that's awesome. And going forward, we hope that Umatilla is able to get back to some former glory for sure. Yeah. And I know there's a lot of support in the community ever since you've come on. Speak about some of the support that you have felt personally in the community.
First, our administration is amazing. They're doing great things academically, and we're making some changes athletically to get to where we need to be. But the city of Umatilla has always had a great support system. Fans travel well. They support the players. I couldn't be more happy and more proud to be back at home.
Yeah, so. And it's great to have you here, Coach. Coach, thank you for coming on to the Sports Hub podcast.
Thank you for having me.
All right, coming up next on the Sports Hub, we're going to be talking to some Umatilla football players right here at the Sports Hub. We'll be right back. Are you in need of a new car or truck? Then zoom into Vann Gannaway Chevrolet, a company that's always been driven by superior customer service. Vann Gannaway Chevrolet is your hometown good folks Chevy dealer. The dealership has helped generations of Lake County families find the perfect car, truck, or SUV. After 37 years and thousands of Chevrolets sold, Vann Gannaway has learned a lot about their customers. They don't want to be pressured, and they don't need a gimmick or giveaway. They just want fair prices and a great overall car buying experience. If you've had bad experiences purchasing automobiles elsewhere, then switch gears and try Vann Gannaway Chevrolet. Chances are you'll end up being a part of the ever-growing family of satisfied and loyal customers. Check out Vann Gannaway Chevrolet at vgchevy.com or call them today at 352-343-2400. Vann Gannaway Chevrolet. Find new roads. All right, we are back here on the Sports Hub podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Coppola. It's a pleasure to have you here, and it's also a pleasure to have Umatilla football player. We are with Blake Watson. Well, Blake, welcome to the Sports Hub.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, Blake. It's great to have you here. Blake, you come into the season. It's a new sort of way of thinking this year. You've got a brand new head coach this year. How was the practices leading into the first games this year, and what has changed from last year?
So a lot has changed from last year. We actually, we don't just go through the motions during practice. Last year, I feel like a lot of the time we were just scrimmaging against each other. And now during practices, we'll actually work on stuff that we need to work on. Like the defense will work on tackling. We never did tackling drills last year. So we just go out into the games and throw ourselves around and we wouldn't look good.
And you're looking a little bit better this year. You come out. You've had a rash of injuries, player injuries, of course. What has changed for you personally since Coach has come on board?
I think just a lot to me has changed in the sense that I want to lead the team. Like, I want to help my team to win.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's hard to explain. There's just a lot that's changed overall in the culture for us.
Yeah, talk about that culture. What has that culture change been like ever since Coach has come on? I feel like we talked to Patrick Todd on an earlier show. We talked to your head coach, Eric Samuels. Everybody talks about the culture change. What has that looked like for you guys?
To us as the players, it's looked from us thinking every year that, oh, we're just going to lose again, blah, 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 to kind of like, oh, we might actually have a chance now. You know, we're actually getting good.
Yeah.
We're getting more skillful at football.
Yeah. And you're wearing some battle scars as well. I see some battle scars on you from a previous game. Watson, you actually lead the team in rushing yards so far this year. You have 39 rushing yards on the season. Have had a couple of runs where they've been about 12 yards long. What, as far as the offensive line goes, how has that been looking this year for you guys?
Our offensive line is really young. We have a lot of sophomores on our O-line, and I think a few juniors, if I'm not wrong. But they're solid. They're not horrible or anything. Like, a lot of people like to say that they're not that good, but they really are. They really are good. They're young. They make mistakes. Everybody does.
Yeah, everybody makes mistakes, and that's the thing that a growing football team has. The more mistakes you make, though, the more that you learn overall, and I think that you guys are learning as you go. You also play on the defensive side of the ball. What position do you play on defense?
I play free safety on defense.
Free safety, and he has 3.5 tackles for a loss this year. You've been doing pretty good as far as the defense goes. How's your defense looking?
Our defense is really good overall. We have a lot of really good guys. We have a few seniors on the defense that are really good. And I think, overall, I mean, it's just really good.
What's your favorite thing about playing football for Umatilla?
I just love to play football. You know, I like to play. So I think that's probably my favorite thing about it. And making friends along the way.
Yeah.
And meeting coaches.
Definitely. Having those opportunities open up for you. As far as Umatilla goes, academically, what do you like about Umatilla as far as academics go?
Academically, I love the ACE program.
Yeah.
I got taken into the cohort my freshman year, and I've loved it. It's awesome.
Yeah, we were talking to Coach about the ACE program, and it seems like kids love that program. And have you had friends that have gone on to college as far as that goes?
Not yet. I think the first cohort are all seniors this year, so I haven't actually had any friends go to college for it yet. But I do know people that are going to.
Okay. And as far as your number goes, number 14, what made you pick 14? Is there a significance behind 14 for you?
Not really. It's just the number that I got when I was a freshman, so I just stuck with it.
Just sticks with it. And when you come out to a game, are there any songs that you like to listen to in the locker room that get you pumped up? For us, it was AC/DC. Maybe you don't listen to that stuff anymore, but we were all about that.
I mean, we've listened to AC/DC before games before, but I think most of the time we like to stick to rap. Anything like NBA Youngboy or J. Breezy, some things like that.
Stuff like that. And I see Eric Samuels off camera. He's like, who are these guys? And it's like, that's not my era. But that's really cool. Obviously, Blake, we wish you the best with the rest of the 2023 season. Hopefully you guys are going to be able to get some wins, hopefully here soon. You've got plenty of opportunities coming up. In fact, you play the Villages as well. Villages struggling this year. They're starting off 0-2. As far as Umatilla goes, though, looking forward to the future, and you're a junior, and you're going to be a senior next year, what are you most looking forward to as far as Umatilla goes?
I'm looking forward to the younger generations that are coming up to be able to, actually like win a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Like I want our younger kids to be able to come up here and like everybody to be able to look at Umatilla football and be like, oh, that's the best in the county.
That's awesome, especially because you guys are building a program, and you want kids to come in. Eric Samuels, your head coach, he went 0-10 his senior year, and he was able to go and play in the SEC. Do you have any aspirations of what you want to do going forward?
I'm not really sure what I want to do if I want to go to actually go to college to play football. I'm sure I probably will, but I don't know if that's like the main thing that I want to do.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure you'll figure it out. You have plenty of time to decide that. Talking with Blake Watson coming up. We'll talk to Luke Bowling coming up here on the Sports Hub podcast. Coming up next. You ready for your future to take flight? Whether you're graduating high school or looking to level up, Lake Sumter State College offers affordable degrees and certificates that will punch your ticket to success and a rewarding career. Plus, with programs like Direct Connect to UCF, your opportunities with LSSC are endless. So, what are you waiting for? Join us in Leesburg, Claremont, Sumterville, Four Corners, or online. Well, we're back here on the Sports Hub. I'm Kyle Coppola. Thanks for joining us. Right now, we are talking with Logan Bowling. Logan is the quarterback for Umatilla High School. Logan, thanks for coming on.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Logan, tough start to the season for you. You were scheduled to be the starting quarterback for Umatilla. Unfortunately, at the beginning of the season, you're dealing with a little bit of an injury. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, in the preseason game, I got hurt. I couldn't tell you when in the game. The next morning, I couldn't walk at all and went to see the trainer. She told me I had to go get an MRI.
What are you dealing with currently? What happened?
Well, I had to get knee surgery, and then they just told me it's 4 weeks for it to heal, and then however my knee moves after that.
Yeah, we hope that you're able to get back onto the football field this year. You're a huge part and have been a huge part of Umatilla's success. You went 5-5 last year. I saw you play in the Mount Dora High School game last year, and that was a great game last year against Mount Dora High School. A tough game, tough loss last year.
Yes, sir.
You'd like another shot at them this year, I'm sure. But you're coming off of a season in which you threw for 700 yards. That was huge. Coming into this year, what has it been like under Coach Eric Samuels? He comes in. A couple of things have changed. We heard from Blake earlier, your teammate. What has changed for you personally?
It's just the whole scenery. He brought in coaches. Like, I never had a quarterback coach before this year. Mm-hmm. He brought in a quarterback coach to teach me a lot of things.
Your quarterback coach, who is that?
Coach Justin Lewis.
Coach Justin Lewis. And how has that helped you develop, especially in between seasons? Obviously, you're a baseball player as well. Baseball season ends, you go right into pretty much preparing for football season. How has that been?
It's been great. He's teaching me everything. Like, I didn't have a quarterback coach before, and he went to college and teaching me everything he learned in college.
What are some of the things that he's taught you that you didn't know before?
Footwork's a big thing. Arm motion, reads, defenses. Yeah, it's just all coming together.
Just all coming together for you guys, and really that's been what the season has been about. I mean, you're starting the season 0-2. Being that you're not playing, how have you been able to support the team in your absence? What have you been up to?
I've just been trying to push everybody and be the leader and help the backup quarterback do everything he can.
Yeah. And who's your backup quarterback right now?
Trayton Pope.
What have you been able to help Trayton Pope out with?
I just try to keep his confidence in him. When he gets down, just got to keep him up, and just everything that Coach Justin Lewis has taught me, instill into him, and
Yeah. What has been some of your favorite things that have happened at Umatilla? You've been playing for 4 years, right? How have you grown as a player in 4 years? What have been some of your favorite things that have happened over the last couple of years?
Probably my sophomore season, going 6-4, first winning record in a while.
Yeah.
And then taking the starting job my freshman year, and just trying to be the best leader I can.
Have you seen a shift in Umatilla. We talked to Eric Samuels. We talked to the athletic director, Patrick Todd of Umatilla. They've seen a notable shift within Umatilla. In the last 4 years since you've been at Umatilla High School, have you seen sort of an academic shift as far as the school goes?
I have. Everybody wants to be there now. It's not just show up and just be there for attendance. Everybody wants to be there and learn and get better.
What was that like being there when that was going down compared to now? I mean, that has to be a completely, like, it's almost like a 180.
Yeah.
Principal Frazier has done an unbelievable job, including the ACE program. Do you have any friends that are part of the ACE program?
Yeah, I have a couple friends that are in the ACE program, and they're doing really good. I think playing our team's already pretty much got a scholarship.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
That's terrific. Your meniscus is going to heal, and you're going to come back, and you're going to try to lead Umatilla to at least a couple of victories this year. We're hoping that, I mean, if things go really good, you guys might be able to make the playoffs. You finish 5-5. You were a couple of wins last year away from winning the district, actually.
Yeah, we were really close.
From Eustis. Like, what could have gone on last year that could have happened? I mean, that Mount Dora game was extremely close. You had that close battle against Eustis. That was close last year.
Yes, it was.
For you guys.
Just execution. You got to execute better.
Yeah, that's what you guys are doing a good job of. We got the helmet here with some battle scars, of course, on at Umatilla High School. Looking for some really good things in 2023. As far as your number goes, you wear number 1. Is there significance behind number 1?
Well, I've always wanted to wear it. I always wore 11 through Pop Warner, and then I've always liked the number, so I took it when I could.
Who'd you steal it from?
Senior. I stole it after a senior left my sophomore year.
I got you. And then you started wearing number 1.
Yep.
You have anything that you like to listen to as you've come out of the locker room? You got any music? I think Blake was telling us earlier he liked to listen to rap. Are you a rap guy?
Yeah. The whole team listens to rap before the game, before we go out, and makes us all pumped up.
That's awesome. Well, Logan, we hope that you're able to get patched up there. We going forward with Umatilla, we hope that you guys can win a couple of games this year. That's the hope. Eric Samuels, you got a great coach, you got a great athletic director, and we want to thank you for coming on the Sports Hub today and talking with us a little bit, getting to know you a little bit better.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
All right. Coming up next, we'll wrap up the show. You're listening to the Sports Hub. All right, that's going to do it for this week's edition. This was a bonus episode here on the Sports Hub. I hope you enjoyed it. We got to talk to some great guys. I got to talk to a couple of Umatilla football players, as well as head coach Eric Samuels, and we had a great time. So looking forward to a great weekend of Friday Night Lights football action. We got Lake Weir playing Umatilla this weekend, so we'll see how the Bulldogs are able to do if they can get that first victory. I know Eric Samuels is really excited. Hopefully they're able to get that first victory this week, but we'll keep an eye on that. As far as the scores go, you can always follow Lake and Sumter Style Magazine's Facebook page, Instagram, and we're also on X, so if you'd like to follow us there, we're going to be giving you a rundown of all of the scores that happened this week, and that's where you can find all of that information. We look forward to seeing you on next week's edition of the Sports Hub Podcast.
This has been the Style Sports Hub, presented by Vann Gannaway Chevrolet.